So this is sort of the bonus of my sort of preservation series. It's the bonus, just something that I'm interested in. I have a collection of a few records. Some are old, some are brand new. And I have a record player. I have a Denon 300F, and I have several cartridges. And I just thought I'd talk about my setup. I actually have 3 cartridges I use. The Ortofon 2M is one of them. I have a little box that I keep the other 2 that I'm not using. This one is an Audio-Technica. Oh, I forget the one. It's the clear version, I think. They usually, I swear, you cannot get a decent stylus for under $100. You really can't. This one is good, but I swear by Grado. So this is the Grado Blue, and it's just amazing. If you go from El Cheapo, that usually comes with a lot of players, and you upgrade to a Grado, my God, it's like all of a sudden your music is like brand new. It's like going from cassette to CD. It really is interesting. This is my Audio-USA little case I keep my styluses in. So how do I store my records? So I'm a little different than a lot of people. This is just the way I do it. So this is a 4 mil, which is the thickness. Usually you want to stick with a 2, 3, or 4. The 4, it's sort of, notice there's like a whitish color. 2, it's not so bad. So I have this one in here. This is one of my favorite records of all time, Joni Mitchell's Court and Spark, and it's embossed. And it's a gatefold, but the record came in a cheap piece of paper. So what I did is I upgraded it to the MoFi original master sleeves. And what it does is it uses rice paper in there to help reduce static. And it keeps it nice and kind of stiff in the back, so you don't have to worry about it. The corners, kind of, you just stick it in there, and it does a really good job. And it shows arrows. So what I do is I put the sleeve in so that it's facing up, so the record isn't going to slide out. Put that in, and then some people slide the record in from the top, and I don't. They say, oh yeah, it bunches when you put it in. When you put it in, it will bunch up when you push them in, when you have like a whole line of them. Well, if you don't have your shelves crammed too much, there we go. If you don't have your shelf crammed full of records, you can usually separate the space, put it in there, and just gently drop it down. But I have 2 tightly packed spaces, and yeah, they do slide out a little bit, but I'm pretty gentle with them. So what I'm going to do now is how I clean stuff. So I have a 45 here that I'm going to clean, and this is it is my favorite disco song. It is Don't Leave Me This Way by Thelma Houston, and this is the 45. So I need to clean this. I think it's got some rubbing on it, and I can't remember if I've ever cleaned this. I don't think I have. So it's a 3-step process, and I have several things that I use. One is microfiber cloths. I use 2 different microfiber cloths. I lay it on one, and then I use you can get these at car shops. It's a cotton buffing or application, spongy cotton terry thing. So the first thing I do is I look at the record, and whenever you clean, you always want to go with the grooves. This is a paper label. Most paper labels, they actually stand up pretty well. So what I do is I use distilled water in a spray bottle, and I just spray a little bit on there. And I used pure vinyl record soap. And then I usually just spray a little bit. And then I take the pad and then I wipe it in a circular motion. Try it, you know, sometimes it's hard to avoid the label, but the labels usually dry out very well. Then when I'm done with that, I spray it again. There's a hair with water. And then I take the other microfiber cloth and I rub it off just to make sure I don't get, I get all the solution off, which is just a mild detergent with a, with the water surface tension breaker in it. And then it's gonna dry. I'll just wipe it again. And then I'll do the other side. So spray, 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 spray. And then I'll use the 1, 2. Of course, if I had a 12-inch 33, it would take a little bit more. I'm just going to work this in. Okay. And I'm going to spray it again with distilled water. I use distilled water because less mineral content, and I'm not worried about, there we go. I'm not really worried about, you know, buildup, because you rarely, to be honest, how often do you clean a record? Not very often. Usually the only reason why I clean them is because I get them, I bought one. Some people, if they buy one new, they clean it, but I don't do that. If it's new, I just make sure I use a record brush. So now this one's nice and clean. I usually don't put it back in its plastic or paper until I know it's 100% dry. So I'll just leave this setting out while it dries. The last thing I do, I have all this, but I use a record brush, and this is a carbon brush, and it's anti-static. This is by AudioQuest. I really like this one. So what you do is you play your record on your turntable, put this down, let it rotate a couple of times, and then just slowly drag it off. And that gets any surface debris, pieces of paper, animal hair off the record, as well as taking the static away. The other thing I do is make sure you're using a nice stylus and a nice stylus brush. So this is Ortofon. This is also carbon brush, and you always brush toward yourself from the back, because usually the cantilever of the needle is there. So you're brushing it this way. If you brush it that way, you can really damage it. And I only do that once in a while. You can visually hold it up to the light and see if there's any dust that's accumulated as it goes through the grooves. If you have clean records and you keep the cover on your record player, it usually doesn't happen too often. And that's about it. Again, I use the 2mm or 4mm sleeves. 4mm is thicker, but 2mm works perfectly fine. And the inner sleeves, the MoFi ones, I like, as long as a lot of them, there's some other brands that have the rice paper backing. Those are really good, but I haven't tried them. I've only used this one. And to be honest, a lot of the newer records, they actually have like a, it's paper on the outside, but it's plastic on the inside. Those I just leave. I leave them, I think they're fine. Anyway, I just thought I would share that, how I keep my records clean, and when I store them, I always store them upright, of course, not too tight. You never stack them flat. That's always a bad thing, but I think if you're into records, you already know that. So anyway, this is my bonus, so thanks for watching.